Do you know what time it is?
What time is it?
It's podcast time. Yeah, dig it? The Dynasty Podcast is brought to you by Jube's Family Restaurant. Family owned and operated since 2002. Jube's Family Restaurant's gourmet pizza and fresh food seafood is better than dirty, dirty sex. Get your ass to Jube's Family Restaurant and don't forget to tip your fucking waitress.
It's time to play the music. It's time to light the lights. It's time to meet the assholes on the Dynasty tonight. That's right. It's time to put on makeup. It's time to dress up right. It's time to raise the curtain on the Dynasty tonight. Why do we always come here? I guess we'll never know. It's like some kind of torture to have to watch the show. And now let's get things started. Why don't you get things started? It's time to get things started on the most sensational, inspirational, celebrational, sexuational. This is what we call the Dynasty Podcast.
Greetings and salutations. You are listening to episode number 4 of the Dynasty Podcast, brought to you by Jube's Family Restaurant. This is your perfectly ranked and titleless, and titless, actually I'm not titless, but I am titleless, Commissioner Eric Costanza along with Mr. Bubba Palucha.
Eric, speaking of tits,
Ooh, I like this.
nah, it's not as good as you would think.
Oh.
Do you know why men have nipples?
I think you can milk anything with nipples, Bubba. Right into a little saucer. That's the sound effect it makes. Folks, that is not, by the way, that is me making that sound effect. That is not a produced, believe it or not, sound effect. No, I think the real answer, Bub, is because at first is everyone born a girl and then you're formed into a boy?
That's correct. The Y was it chromosome or something doesn't come into play until the nipples have already been formed.
Ah, gotcha.
So for all you guys wondering out there why, your rippling pecs are capped with a nice nipple, that's the reason.
I'm sure everyone was wondering that very question, Bub.
You know what? I'm surprised we didn't already get that question.
Right.
Ask the Dynasty Podcast team.
Podcast team. Well, we've already knocked that one out, so can't ask that one anymore, bitches. So of course we're coming to you live here from the Tom Berkowitz Trucking Riverdale Studios, and Bub, I got a major thumbs
Hard
up.
on.
Well, obviously,
No,
but
it wasn't hard on.
I also got a major thumbs up from from most of the crew here in the league regarding the YouTube playlist feature that we kind of implemented last week.
Do you want to know how I felt about it?
I would love to, Bub.
I great.
Great.
I loved it.
I was going to ask you if it worked for you, or if you got any feedback from
I didn't have to copy because what I did is I would it was hard for me before because it wasn't always there on the YouTube page, so I would have to just go copy and paste, and it took time out of my life, time that I didn't need to waste.
Right.
And so now that the playlist is here, it's like it was like a 1 second delay.
Absolutely. Well,
Perfect.
That's great to hear. I have a question for you. When the part was over at the end of the 10 minutes, did it automatically go to the next one for you? Or did you have to just?
Oh, I didn't have to touch anything.
You didn't have to do.
No,
shit.
I was looking at porn and my fantasy team, and I just listened on the background, and I didn't have to touch it.
Excellent. Well,
it was fantasy football porn.
Oh.
It was actually it was these two guys talking about fantasy football
while fucking.
naked. And,
Okay.
So it was a good time.
Sounds like a great time, Bub. I'm not going to judge you. I'm not going to judge you.
I wouldn't either.
So, if anyone has any issues at all with this YouTube playlist feature, let me know. I'm going to assume that it works great. I think we all use our iPhones or Droids at this point. I was just talking to Bub before we started recording here. I think I was the last one to actually get an iPhone, which just happened last week. I feel like Bud Selig of the Commissioner of Baseball, who doesn't have an email address.
Yeah, that's true. It's
kind of what I felt like, not having the good old iPhone or there you go, Bub. So again, I'm going to assume that everyone's it's working properly. If anyone has any problems, let me know. Otherwise, I'm moving forward with it. But before we completely move forward with it, you're probably all asking yourselves, Eric, what the shit is going on with the Daily Motion thing? Last year you promoted the fuck out of it, and all of a sudden we haven't heard about it at all this year. You haven't sent out a Daily Motion link. Well, I'm going to answer you guys. So basically what happened was in the first episode of this year, I went to go upload that show to the Daily Motion to send out both the YouTube and the Daily Motion link like I did last year. But like an hour after I uploaded it, it got denied or whatever from Daily Motion, I guess due to copyright reasons. So I guess Daily Motion like cracked down on their copyright shit, and I don't know what it was in there, but it didn't allow me to upload it. So that's kind of what happened. And then in the following week, the second show, I tried it again, and it worked, but I'm not sure if it's always going to work, and it just takes a lot of time and effort for me to do the Daily Motion thing. So the bottom line, Bub, is...
Are you still talking? What is going on here? So, but what's the bottom line? Say the bottom line.
The bottom line is that...
We don't use Daily Motion.
I'm not going to use Daily Motion unless someone really wants it.
No one really wants it.
I'm going to assume that to be the case unless someone tells me. So if someone needs it, let me know. So, Bub, thank you for getting me...
Yeah, you got it.
I'm going to hand it off to you a little bit here. Then.
Okay.
The Call the Dynasty Podcast team segment, I know we've been talking about it a lot. It's not going to be in this show, probably not next show, but it's going to come up probably 2 weeks from now. We're going to kick it off then. I haven't gotten any questions at all from anybody yet. I'm wondering, I know you had a little conversation at the post-draft party. I don't know if you remember this or not, but you were talking, I think with Zach and Chris and Whiffin about what can people do at this point? Should they call me and leave a question? Should we wait until we announce to do it? Tell us what to do.
I think first of all we need to kind of promote it the week before.
Okay. And
maybe even send an email. Like I can send an email out to everyone and say, hey, next week on the podcast, if you have any questions for us, it can literally be about anything. Mm-hmm. It can be why men have nipples. No, it can't. We already answered that. And then they can. I suppose they could tweet the questions, or they can email, or they maybe just do it that day, so we don't have a huge head start of what the questions are. It's more of just a spur of the moment thing.
So if they tweet it though, how would that work? Would you and I just read
actually,
the question?
I changed my mind.
Okay.
They can tweet us and say, I have a question.
Okay.
Let me know when I can call or whatever. So then when we're recording,
they probably wouldn't tweet that. They'd probably just text.
Yeah, that
me.
too.
I mean, why would you
tweet
text?
That? They could.
They could.
You could send it via regular mail, through the mail.
Well, get to the point. What's the bottom line?
We're all about the bottom line. The bottom line is if you have a question for us,
yes.
we will let you know when this is going to happen.
Yes.
Be ready and let us know when if you want to submit a question. We will call you and talk to you when we record, and you can ask us the question.
Oh, so we're going to actually call out to them. Is that what you just
said? No. So, let's say Zach tweets me and says...
Or more realistically, let's say Zach, in person or...
Says, hey, I have a good question to ask you guys. Okay. So I said, okay. I go, Tuesday night, we're going to record.
Yep.
So then I'll text him during, Tuesday night,
yep.
and while I'm in, Tom Burkett's Trucking Riverdale Studios, and I'll say, hey, we have blah, blah, blah. I'm not sure exactly how it's going to work yet.
All right.
Either we'll just be on the line waiting, and then he'll call us, or something.
Okay.
But then I'll just let him know, we're ready for you, and then I'll ask him.
Or if you want to not be on live, you can just call and leave a message.
Yep.
Call my cell phone when the voice screen comes on, and just go, hey, this is Phil. My question for the Dynasty Podcast team is...
Why is my dick so small?
Right.
Something like that.
Right.
And we just answer it.
And we would answer it. So, all right. So hopefully that clears things up a little bit. The week...
I don't think it cleared
maybe it doesn't.
Up.
But the week before, which I think is actually next week,
right.
we will tell you guys... Bub and I will talk about
yes.
it. We'll figure it
yes.
out. So
yes.
be on standby, bitches.
Yeah.
So on this show, we're going to go ahead and analyze week 2. We're going to review week 3. We're going to provide a power rankings update that you don't want to miss. You do not want to miss this. And then as previously reported, and I'm excited about this, Bub, we are not going to have a coach's interview this week. We wanted to free up some time because on the interactive segment, we have the man himself.
There was no foul on the play. It was not a hold. The defender was just overpowered.
That's right. That is Ed Hochuli.
Ed Hochuli.
Telling us all that somebody in a football game was overpowered. Bub, what is your favorite Ed Hochuli moment?
Oh, God. I could pick just one.
With the score tied, and at the end of regulation, we'll go into overtime. there are special overtime rules in the playoffs.